Itzhak Bentov, the visionary scientist who unveiled the mysteries of consciousness, discovered something that most people spend their entire lives ignoring. Your subconscious mind is a quantum field of infinite possibilities, capable of manifesting any reality you program into it. But here's the brutal truth. Right now, it's manifesting exactly what you don't want. Every failure, every frustration, every repetitive cycle of scarcity and pain are perfect creations of your subconscious operating on old and destructive programs. You're not living your life. You're living the invisible commands installed in your deep mind years ago. And the most disturbing part? You reinforce these commands every day without realizing it, through the words you speak, the symbols you carry, and especially through the emotional state you fall asleep in every night. The good news is that Bentov revealed the secret language that the subconscious understands. In this content, you'll learn exactly how to reprogram this deep mind, how to use the sleep ritual to manifest your dreams, and how to transform your subconscious from saboteur to ally. Prepare to discover the spiritual secret that few know. At this exact moment, as you breathe and process these words, something extraordinary is happening inside you. Your subconscious mind, that vast intelligence operating behind the scenes of your consciousness, is shaping every aspect of your reality. It doesn't rest, doesn't question, doesn't judge. It simply executes the programs that have been installed in it over the years. The subconscious functions like a cosmic bank account, a creative field that receives constant deposits from your thoughts and emotions. Everything you experience today is a withdrawal from that account. If your life is filled with scarcity, conflicts, and frustrations, it doesn't mean you're unlucky or that the universe conspires against you. It simply means that the mental deposits made in the past are generating these results now. A man discovered this in the most painful way possible. He lived in an endless cycle of failures, projects that never took off, relationships that crumbled, money that slipped through his fingers like sand. Every attempt to change something externally failed miserably. He tried new jobs, new places, new strategies. Nothing worked. The pattern repeated with mathematical precision that bordered on absurd. Until one day, at the bottom of the financial and emotional pit, he sold one of the last pieces of jewelry he owned. With that money, he bought a book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. It seemed like a desperate decision, perhaps even irrational. After all, how could a book solve such concrete problems? But in that seemingly simple act, something began to move in the depths of his consciousness. The first pages revealed a devastating yet liberating truth at the same time. Bad luck doesn't exist as an external force. Bad luck is simply the subconscious executing its self-sabotage programs with perfect efficiency. Every thought of, I don't deserve, every belief of, this never works out for me, every emotion of fear and scarcity, all of this transformed into precise instructions for the subconscious to create more of the same. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between what you want and what you fear. It only identifies the dominant patterns of thought and emotion and works tirelessly to manifest them in physical reality. If you spend all day thinking about debts, worrying about bills, feeling the anguish of lack, the subconscious interprets this as a request to keep that state of deprivation alive and pulsating. This man began to realize that each previous failure wasn't chance. He was programmed to lose. His subconscious had an entire library of limiting beliefs. I'm not good enough, people like me don't prosper, happiness isn't for me. These beliefs operated silently, sabotaging every opportunity before it could fully blossom. But here lies the great secret. If the subconscious can be your worst enemy, it can also become your greatest ally. The same force that creates failure can create success. The same mechanism that generates scarcity can generate abundance. Everything depends on which program is running behind the scenes of your mind. And here begins a fascinating journey, the journey of understanding how this deep mind really works, what language it speaks, and how we can communicate with it effectively to plant new seeds of reality. To understand how this reprogramming works, we need to look at the mind as it really is, a fertile and receptive field. Every thought you cultivate, every belief you nurture, every emotion you allow to inhabit your inner space acts like a seed thrown into this mental soil. The subconscious doesn't differentiate good seeds from bad ones. It only does what nature does best: germinate everything that's planted. Have you noticed how some people seem to attract opportunities naturally, while others live in a perpetual cycle of difficulties? It's not about luck or divine privilege. It's about what type of mental seed was planted and cultivated over time. Someone who grew up hearing, "You'll never accomplish anything in life," has been planting seeds of failure since childhood. These seeds germinate silently, creating deep roots in that person's identity. Years later, they try to build a business, a relationship, a career, but the roots of failure are already so deeply embedded that they sabotage any effort to grow. Jesus brought this wisdom in a simple and powerful way: "By their fruits you shall know them." If you look at the fruits of your life right now, your health, your finances, your relationships, your emotional state, you're looking at the exact harvest of the seeds that were planted in your subconscious. Bitter fruits don't appear from sweet trees. Harvests of scarcity don't sprout from seeds of abundance. Most people try to change the fruits without changing the seeds. They want different results using the same mental patterns. They try to earn more money while maintaining beliefs of poverty. They seek healthy relationships while carrying unhealed emotional wounds that scream, "I don't deserve love." They desire professional success while seeing themselves as incapable or imposters. This is like planting passion fruit seeds and expecting roses to grow. Changing habits, so celebrated in conventional self-help books, only touches the surface. You can wake up at 5 in the morning, exercise, read motivational books, but if the fundamental beliefs about who you are remain intact, the results will be temporary. The subconscious always pulls back to the original pattern. It's like trying to build a skyscraper on the foundation of a single-story house. The structure might rise a few floors, but it eventually collapses because the foundation can't support it. What really transforms life isn't changing what you do, but changing who you believe you are. Subconscious identity is the soil where all seeds are planted. If deep down you see yourself as someone who doesn't deserve prosperity, every attempt to prosper will be sabotaged by this internal program. If you identify as someone destined for suffering, the subconscious will create situations that confirm this identity. Reprogramming the subconscious literally means uprooting mental weeds by the root and planting new seed. There's no use covering the weeds with pretty flowers and pretending they're not there. They'll continue growing underneath, consuming the soil's nutrients, preventing the true flowers from blooming. The work is deep, not cosmetic. This process of mental replanting requires courage to honestly look at your own inner garden. It means identifying which beliefs about yourself are producing the current fruit. It means questioning truths you've carried for decades as if they were universal laws, but which in reality are just programming. And here arises something fascinating about how these programmings are installed, because they don't enter through logic or reason, they enter through a much older and more primitive door of human consciousness. This door through which programming enters is the language of symbols. The subconscious doesn't think in linear words like the conscious mind. It thinks in images, sensations, symbols, and archetype. That's why so many people make positive affirmations rationally but don't see results. They're speaking the wrong language to the wrong audience. It's like trying to communicate in English with someone who only understands Mandarin. Observe an interesting pattern in nature. All genuine creation begins in darkness. The seed needs to be buried in dark soil, isolated from light, to germinate. The baby develops for 9 months inside the dark womb before being born into the light. Night precedes dawn. Even in biblical Genesis, before God said, "Let there be light," darkness already existed over the face of the deep, and the Spirit hovered over the waters. These waters represent something profound about human consciousness. In ancient spiritual symbolism, Water has always been the representation of the unconscious, of the subconscious, of this deep and fluid mind that lies below the surface of waking consciousness. Just as the primordial waters of Genesis were the womb of creation, your subconscious is the womb where all your reality is gestated before being born into the physical world. Everything you live first existed as a pattern in the darkness of your subconscious. Every relationship, every achievement, every failure, all were conceived in the depths before manifesting on the surface of your life. The problem is that most people don't know they're constantly generating in the dark. They think life happens randomly, that things simply appear. But no. Everything is first generated in the unconscious through this symbolic language. A symbol carries power because it speaks directly to these deep layers. The Christian cross isn't just two crossed lines, it carries centuries of meaning, emotion, devotion, and collective programming. For someone who grew up in a Christian family, seeing a cross automatically activates a series of subconscious responses. Security, faith, protection, or sometimes guilt and fear, depending on how this symbol was encoded in childhood. Similarly, a hospital isn't just a building. For the subconscious, it's a symbol loaded with meanings: illness, healing, pain, hope, death, birth. Just by passing in front of a hospital, your subconscious is already processing all this symbolic charge, activating associated memories and emotions. You don't even consciously notice, but your body might tense, your heart rate might change, because the symbol spoke directly to the deep mind. Songs work the same way. A melody that played during happy moments of your childhood isn't just a sequence of notes. It's a key that opens an entire emotional file in the subconscious. Just hearing the first chords and immediately you're transported to that emotional state, that time, that version of you. The sound symbol directly accessed the subconscious file. Gestures, rituals, objects, specific words, everything can become a symbol that programs the subconscious. A wedding ring isn't just a piece of metal. For the subconscious, it represents commitment, union, security, or, for some people who've lived through traumatic divorces, it represents prison and pain. The symbol doesn't have a fixed meaning, it has the meaning that was attributed to it through experience and emotion. Understanding this changes everything, because it means you can consciously choose which symbols feed your subconscious and what meaning you attribute to them. But before doing this symbolic reprogramming, we need to identify which symbols are already operating in your life and what emotional charge they carry, especially the symbols related to the most important areas of human existence. The most critical areas where symbols operate are precisely those that define the quality of your human experience: money, love, health, success. And here lies a serious problem: most people carry completely distorted symbols in these areas, symbols that were implanted without conscious consent and that continue operating silently, creating the same unwanted realities repeatedly. Think about money. For many, money isn't a symbol of freedom or creativity. It's a symbol of struggle, sweat, sacrifice, worry. Every time the subject of money comes up, the subconscious automatically accesses these files loaded with tension. The person may even consciously desire to have more money, but the internal symbol is tied to suffering. The subconscious, then, does what it knows how to do best: create situations that confirm the symbol. After all, if money means suffering, having more money would mean having more suffering. Seemingly harmless phrases become direct commands for the subconscious. "I don't have money" isn't just a factual statement. For the subconscious, which doesn't understand irony, context, or nuances, it's an identity affirmation. You're declaring who you are, someone who doesn't have money. And the subconscious obediently works to keep this identity true, blocking opportunities, creating unexpected expenses, generating situations that confirm, "I don't have money." "Poor people's happiness doesn't last long" is another of these insidious programs. This phrase carries the belief that joy and prosperity cannot coexist stably. The subconscious, hearing this repeatedly, creates an equation: If I'm happy, soon unhappiness will come. If things are going well, soon chaos will arrive. The person lives in constant anticipation of catastrophe, and this anticipation itself becomes the creative force of catastrophe. Love follows the same distorted logic. For many, love isn't associated with peace and harmony. It's associated with pain, loss, abandonment, betrayal. The symbol of love was corrupted by unprocessed past experiences. So the person seeks relationships, but the subconscious, reading the internal symbol of love as pain, attracts or creates painful situations. Not because they consciously want to suffer, but because the subconscious symbol of love is encoded with suffering. Reprogramming means disassociating symbols from negative emotional charges and reassociating them with what you really want to experience. Money needs to become a symbol of lightness, of possibilities, of creative expression. Love needs to become a symbol of security, of peace, of expansion. Success needs to stop being a symbol of pressure and become a symbol of natural fulfillment. But how to do this? How to alter symbols that were installed decades ago, often in childhood, through repetition and intense emotional charge? The answer lies in using the same tool that created the original symbols, emotion combined with repetition. But this time, consciously and intentionally. The subconscious learns through emotional experience. A cold idea, merely rational, doesn't penetrate. But an idea charged with genuine feeling installs itself deeply. That's why mechanical affirmations don't work. I am rich, said without feeling, is just noise. But if you can genuinely feel the sensation of abundance, of financial security, of lightness regarding money, even if only for a few seconds, you're planting a new symbolic seed. Each time you consciously correct your language, each time you choose a different emotion when facing a symbol, you're reprogramming. It's a process, not a single event. Just as the negative symbol was reinforced thousands of times until it became automatic, the new symbol needs to be reinforced consistently until it replaces the old one. And for this, we need to access the most powerful moment of subconscious programming that we have available every day. This most powerful programming moment happens every day, but very few people know how to use it. It's the transition state between wakefulness and sleep, that hazy period where waking consciousness begins to dissolve and the subconscious takes total control. In this state, something extraordinary happens. The critical mind, that rational voice that questions everything, shuts off. And with it turned off, the gate to the subconscious opens completely. During the day, your conscious mind acts as a gatekeeper. It filters, analyzes, questions every piece of information trying to enter the subconscious. You can say, I am prosperous, but the conscious mind immediately contests. No, you're not, look at your bills. You try to visualize success, but the rational mind interrupts. This is fantasy, be realistic. This gatekeeper constantly blocks reprogramming, protecting the old programs. But in the moments before sleep, the gatekeeper leaves. The rational mind retreats. The critical filter dissolves. The subconscious is exposed, receptive, extremely suggestible. Everything you feed it in this state penetrates directly, without resistance, without questioning. That's why this moment is so crucial, and so dangerous if used unconsciously. Most people go to sleep worried. They mentally review the day's problems, anticipate tomorrow's difficulties, feel the anguish of unpaid bills, the weight of unresolved conflicts. They are, unknowingly, programming the subconscious to create more of the same. Because the last emotional state before sleep becomes the seed that germinates throughout the entire night. The subconscious doesn't rest. It works 8 straight hours processing and solidifying that last emotional command. Sleeping with fear means spending 8 hours reinforcing fear patterns. Sleeping with anger means feeding the neural circuits of anger for hours. Sleeping with scarcity means ordering the subconscious to maintain scarcity as the dominant reality. And in the morning, you wake up already carrying that frequency. Before even opening your eyes, the program is already running. The day begins contaminated by the previous night's emotional state. The sleep reprogramming technique completely reverses this process. In the final minutes before falling asleep, you consciously direct your attention to what you want to create. Not as distant fantasy, but as present reality. You visualize with your mind's eye already living that desired situation. More importantly, you genuinely generate the corresponding emotion. If the desire is financial prosperity, you don't just imagine numbers in your bank account. You feel the lightness of not having financial worries. Feel the freedom to make choices without monetary limitations. Feel the gratitude for having abundant resources. These emotions are the language the subconscious understands. The mental image is secondary. Emotion is what seals the program. If the desire is a harmonious relationship, you feel the peace of being genuinely loved. Feel the security of having a present partner. Feel the joy of deep connection. You don't force the image of a specific person, that would be manipulation and generates subconscious resistance. You simply inhabit the emotional state of having that in your life. The secret lies in maintaining this elevated emotional state until the exact moment you lose consciousness. You literally fall asleep within the desired frequency. Thus, the subconscious spends the next hours working in that frequency, reorganizing internal patterns, creating new neural connections, adjusting your perception of reality to align with that state. In the morning, something has changed. You might not consciously notice immediately, but the subconscious is already operating slightly differently. You might notice that certain situations that used to irritate you no longer affect you. Opportunities that used to go unnoticed now catch your attention. People respond to you differently because you're emanating a different frequency. Repeating this process daily is like planting the same fertile seed every night. Each night reinforces and deepens the program. Each morning you're reborn a little more aligned with the new identity. Sleeping with gratitude, joy, and inner certainty means waking up in a reality that progressively reflects these states. Because in the end, the external world isn't a fixed and objective truth. The world is a refined mirror of your internal consciousness, and what you see out there is always the reflection of what pulses within. The change begins today, the instant you decide to consciously reprogram your subconscious. Tonight, before sleeping, try it. Feel the emotion of what you desire as if it were already real. Do this for 30 days and watch your life transform in ways you never imagined were possible. Leave in the comments which area of your life you'll reprogram first. Your answer could inspire thousands of people who are also seeking this transformation. If this content opened your consciousness, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Every week we bring more deep knowledge about spirituality, consciousness, and manifestation. Don't miss the next journey of expanding your consciousness.